All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of the Next Go Wins podcast. First things first, it is recording on all cameras and on the audio. I mean, I'm not sure. Technology will always fail you at some point.
What do you mean you're not sure? Can't you see?
Yeah, I can see, but you never know until you finally actually go into the computer and upload everything.
Oh.
Love living on the wild side.
That's the problem. If I could see before I was, or while I was doing it, I would know that there's a problem.
Mm-hmm. How'd you know there's a problem last time?
Yeah.
Because I looked and and there was a problem.
Do you all see what we deal with weekly?
I'm dealing with like an old school mixer here, but anyway, we're back. Welcome back, Joe D in the house.
Yes,
the statistics, man.
Statistics, the fans.
Listen,
hey, I'm a man of the people. I'm just here.
How many of those people that commented on our video with your name in that comment are fake profiles?
0.
And how many of them did you force them to do it?
Force? 0. How many did I influence as heavily as I could? Maybe 80 to 100% of them.
All right. So
that's a good percentage.
Did we get one comment that said Joe out?
That was George, I think.
I don't think I said it. Did I?
Out of all those comments, we didn't get a single one that said Joe out.
Thank you.
Anyways, once again, in this episode, make sure you go down into the comment section, and if you want Joe out, all we are looking for is one
like
comment.
Trying so hard
one
to get
comment. Get this man out. And we got Georgie back in the house. Georgie, you a happy man? Liverpool's in second.
I'm happy.
How does it feel? VAR is no longer only about Liverpool these days.
I mean, VAR is still helping the teams that are on top, so...
Yeah.
I mean,
that's very true.
It's early, you know. I'm happy the way things are going.
Georgie keeps showing up to this podcast only because Liverpool is doing well. So we'll see how long that lasts. Where do you want to start, Georgie? You tell me. Where do you want to start today?
I mean, I don't know.
First of all,
let's start with Darwin Nunez scoring a brace.
All right, fair enough.
Oh wait, 2 offside goals. But
bicycle kick.
Yeah, two good goals to finishes, but he was offside, so it's fair enough. But his overall game was unreal the whole entire match. So
this guy has a good performance, and Georgie's like unreal performance.
No.
He's got an average performance. It was a great performance.
He was before you got here. He was talking about some of the stats that he'll probably share. Soon about Darwin, which I thought was crazy.
This is a crazy.
Please check this stat once he says it.
Think about this: Darwin Nunez has more assists to Mo Salah this season than Mane had in the whole entire time they played together.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what the difference was. Mane scored all of the goals that Nunez misses.
All the ones he shoots off
all the ones that he shoots.
Wait. How can you take a positive and spin it into such a negative? What does Mane scoring have to do with Darwin scoring? That's different. I'm talking about the passing. Darwin, you saw the assist. That wasn't a good assist for Salah's goal?
It was a good assist, but it wasn't crazy or anything.
No, I mean, assist is an assist. That was
I will say this. This was the first performance where I felt like Darwin Nunez actually was one of the best players on that team. Like a quality performance. First time ever.
Guys.
Because before this, it's like...
I'm turning this guy around.
It's like this. It's like, you know what it's like? It's like when a goalkeeper makes a mistake and then makes a good save afterwards. But that's how you're like, oh, well, Darwin Nunez is... No. Like when goalkeepers make a mistake, you can't give them credit for the save that they made after they made their mistake.
What were some of the things that you... Because I understand... he misses a lot of...
He misses a lot of opportunities.
Easy chances. But he does get in good positions. He works hard.
Yeah.
He does well for the team. Why are you so opposed to
I just don't like that Darwin. He misses so many opportunities and everybody makes him seem like he's this great striker.
Okay.
What is the number one thing about being a striker? Scoring goals.
No, not necessarily.
Scoring goals is number one.
No.
Number one, no matter what. Scoring goals as a striker. You were telling me you can be a number 9 for any team and not score goals, and you're going to be regarded as a good player for the team?
Define scoring goals. No. There's a difference.
This man has lost the plot.
No. There's a difference. Are you talking about 30 goals a year? Or are you talking about 10 to 15? Because that's the difference. Benzema never scored. Benzema was starting number 9 when Ronaldo was there. Who scored more goals? Benzema was always the dropping guy.
But he scored goals, though. He scored goals.
15 to 20 goals a
and
season.
When Ronaldo
he never
left.
scored 34. Well, that's different.
Listen, I'm not going to get into this argument with you, Georgie. All I'm saying,
that's what I'm saying.
All I'm saying is that Darwin Nunez had a good performance. He had a good performance.
He did.
And finally, I'm like, okay, this man probably deserves to be in Liverpool as a starter and influential in the team, not just one of the 11 players on the field.
I'm glad after 11 games now?
After all of the sitters that he's missed, I finally have said he's had one
Okay, I'll give you another
solid
stat.
game.
I'll give you another stat.
All right.
And I know what you're going to say afterwards, but you cannot contradict yourself because you can't say after he misses, then he scores and it's all good. Like a goalkeeper makes a mistake.
Just give me the damn stat, George.
Haaland has missed more like easy like chances one-on-one the keeper and tap-ins, whatever you want to call it, than Darwin Núñez. It's Haaland, Watkins, and that's Darwin.
All right, hold on a second.
Like clear-cut chances.
Define easy, clear-cut chances.
Like inside, I don't know. Like
I'm just saying, where'd you get this stat from? Because there's
EPL. That was at halftime.
More easy chances. I like define easy though. That's not a. That's not something.
Don't. He's the one throwing out.
I don't know what easy
I've never heard of these until today.
I'm telling you. You told me a minute ago. A goalkeeper makes a mistake and
George came prepared today.
You make a mistake and then you make a crazy save. You don't give him credit for it. So Haaland makes an easy miss. Actually, I can think of 3 really easy ones against Burnley and the first few, like second game of the season or first game, where he was literally missing a tap in, and then he scored a goal. Everybody forgets. That's the whole point.
Yeah, but see the difference between that and the fallacy in your argument here is that if Darwin Núñez misses sitters and then doesn't score as many goals, whereas Haaland can miss sitters and then score a bunch of goals. I mean the man's scoring what's his goals per game ratio overall since he's joined Manchester City? It's crazy.
Really good, yeah.
Right? So that's why it's overlooked. Like you can miss more when you score more. You can't miss more when you score less. But anyway, listen.
That was a good recovery there, Javi. I will say for somebody.
I'll give Georgie credit.
Hey, Darwin's. You have to admit he's
good performance.
But would you take him at Arsenal over what we've got?
No. I would take him based on that performance, not overall. Like if I had to take him right now, I would say no. If he has a few more of those, I'd be like, yeah, absolutely.
But that's he's literally done that all like this game that he
all
played
season.
Calm down. Almost like most of the season. Oh, he hasn't played that much because international breaks. Don't get me started on that. But if out of the 7 games or 6 games that he started, that's his overall performances. He's been one of the best players at Liverpool this season, and that's not.
I will say he was probably the best player for Liverpool during that game. That's all I will say.
Damn,
that's all I'll give you right now.
That's all Georgie needed right there.
That's going around.
I think that's all we needed for the podcast. George is ready to. You're out of here.
See you, Georgie.
See you next week.
Let's talk about the big game: Chelsea, Manchester City, 4-4. I didn't watch it because I was coaching, right? And one of the coaches that was there with me on the sidelines, like, if I told you there was 8 goals scored in the game, what would you say? Or what would you predict? And I told him, I was like, either Manchester City won 8-0 or it was 4-4. And he's like, yeah, it was 4-4. What do you guys think about the game?
Sadly, I didn't get to watch it live either.
Oh
my phone was blowing up. I checked it when I got home, and then rewatched it.
All right, guys. Well, we're gonna have to pause this podcast so we can all watch the game real quick and then come back.
Put it on right now.
I would watch it again. It was awesome. It's another example of how far I think Chelsea have come under Pochettino in terms of just playing well against good teams. The fact that team could score 4 goals against City when they were struggling to get goals against bottom table teams at the beginning of the year is impressive. Very glad, obviously as an Arsenal fan, that City dropped 2 points.
Yep.
And we now, it looks like, have a pretty good title race because of it, which will be very exciting after the international break. But
yeah, I mean,
it was awesome. It had everything.
It literally had everything. It was a up and down game. And again, we're going to go back to VAR because that's what we do.
There wasn't any wrong VAR decisions.
I don't think that was a penalty.
He's talking about
which one? Which one of the two?
Haaland,
yeah,
and Cucurella. That's one we've talked about before. That happens every single time with a corner kick.
But that one is debatable, very easily debatable. You can say you don't think, but that one's not as clear cut as some of the other ones, like the Arsenal one and some of the other ones.
It's true.
Like if you polled people and you said, okay, was it a PK or not, it would be a lot closer than some of the other VAR decisions that we were really arguing about.
Yeah, but the problem with that one is, one, they're both holding on to each other first, and then Haaland sprints off, and he's twice the size of Cucurella, so he's still holding on to him and pulls him with him. But then when he tries to jump, makes it seem like Cucurella's holding onto him. So when you were looking at that, you can clearly tell that Haaland is the one pulling him and dragging him. Like, you can see that. So again, we're going back to the obvious error. The referee doesn't see that it's obvious that Haaland is...
It's not an obvious error. You could say it might be an error. but it's not obvious. It's not clear and obvious.
You don't think that Holland is dragging Cucurella?
I just think that one's a lot more likely to be debatable by a lot of people, and that's the whole point. If it's not clear and obvious because there's debate around it, then you can't overturn the decision or whatever.
But do you think the referee, when he signaled the penalty, was like Cucurella's holding out to Holland?
I could see what he saw. Like when he called the PK, it wasn't like, oh my god, that's not a PK. So you could see what he saw, and then when you look at the replays, you'd probably be, I don't know. I honestly think it's closer to 50-50 what people would say whether it was a PK
really?
Or not. Yeah, for real.
So when you look at corner kicks or free kicks, you don't see that happen 70% of the time?
Yeah, so that is a problem. I'll give you that, because at corner kicks, they're holding on to each other, like, whereas if it was live play, typically that'd be something that people would go crazy about. PKs. They've gotten really what's the word? Like they've let go way too much on the corner kicks, in my opinion.
Yeah.
There's some times where they're just hugging each other and pulling each other to the ground. They let it go.
I'd agree with you on that. That's why I was surprised it was a penalty, because of how much and how normal it is on those, for everyone to be holding each other, everyone to be pulling jerseys and falling to the ground. That normally, unless it's blatant where the ball was coming directly in someone's path and they were going to tap it in, or there was no one else there, that they'll call it. But I was surprised to see it called, but I could also see why they did.
But it's funny, the difference between if people are holding and grabbing jerseys and pulling at each other, how much contact there needs to be for them to call a PK, versus if someone sticks like a leg out and gets the slightest contact on someone and then they fall and then they give that a PK.
Well, like the last second penalty for Chelsea.
You don't think that was a penalty?
No, I think it was.
right.
Like,
I think.
I was gonna
so who was the penalty on? Who was the who got
Diaz.
fouled?
Oh, who got fouled?
Who got fouled?
are you talking about the Chelsea?
Yeah,
Barha, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
smart, because he leaves his leg there.
Yeah.
Like
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing, right? Like he could have I wouldn't say easily, but he could have, if he wanted to stay on his feet, brought his leg up over him so that he stayed on his feet, but he left his leg there knowing that the momentum was gonna take him down. So that was smart.
I was surprised to see, speaking of smart, someone who I think is normally pretty smart is Ruben Diaz. I was surprised to see he was the one to give away such a big penalty at the end of the game, because he normally does a great job of keeping his head about him and staying composed. That, to me, when I rewatched, I'm like, oh, that's really surprising. And props to Cole Palmer for finishing it like he did.
Yeah.
Speaking of Palmer, he was at Manchester City, and I saw like one of those posts from ESPN, or I don't know who it was, but I'm hoping it's true. But they said that Guardiola had already had conversations with him and telling him kind of like, you're going to probably play this season. The first season was difficult, but he understood the process behind it. And then the second season, when Pep's like, you're probably going to play a little bit more, he was like, no, I'm ready to leave. And Pep's like, okay, if you want to leave, you can leave.
Pep told him about Mahrez. Oh, he's going to leave.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So, like, you're going to play. He's like, no, I want to leave.
Do you think he actually said that?
I mean,
it sounded like it. It wasn't like it wasn't just like one of those.
Why though? That, as a young player, to play under Pep.
Some people just don't want to wait. And the thing about Manchester City, it's not guaranteed.
It's true.
That's the thing. Like some of these other teams, they're probably, you could probably say, hey, just give us a couple years, let us develop you a little bit, and then you're going to get your opportunity. Manchester City's like, it's very difficult for them to be guaranteed any playing time at all, especially with how many people there are per position.
Do you think that, well, two things, I guess. Number one, do you think that's part of the reason why they went for Doku? Because they got Doku, I think, late in the window, right? And then they pretty much signed Doku and then immediately flipped and sold Palmer. So did they buy Doku because they were selling Palmer? And number two, if you really wanted to get out of there and go somewhere where you're guaranteed to get playing time, I don't think Chelsea's that place. Like, obviously he's getting time, but there is a lot of competition for him, that he could have gone to a different team and found a lot more guaranteed time. That seems weird to me.
I mean, I'm sure he had talks with Pochettino and say, look, I want to get playing time. I don't want to just come
over here just because
for no reason and just sit on the bench, because I can just do that in Manchester City. So I'm sure there's talks about it. And I mean, looking at it now, he's been arguably the best. Him and Gallagher were probably best players like playing for Chelsea so far throughout the season. I mean, Jackson is coming into his own now, scoring goals. He has scored a hat-trick a game or two ago, scored against Man City now. And Cuckoo's coming back from injury after the international break. So they're getting a lot of players back, but I think Palmer is one of the players that was like has been a standout. And I know he scored all the goals are pretty much penalty kicks, but still, like his overall play is.
And to Joe's point, it's interesting because Chelsea had the whole, like the locker room was overflowing, and they had all these players. So it is a bit weird that you choose to go to Chelsea, knowing that one, they have all these problems, but then they also have all these players. However, any team other than Manchester City, if you're coming from Manchester City, where you're not just in the academy, but you're very close to actually getting playing time.
Scored for them in their first competitive match of the season against Arsenal.
Anywhere else, you're going to get guaranteed playing time. So that's why you probably leave, because that's like the one team that you could be in the team, and then 2 weeks later you could be completely out of the team. Like even your boy Jack has been struggling. Yeah, I saw him on the field and I was surprised. I was like, oh, he's actually playing. Yeah. So that one is. Do you think Pep regrets letting Palmer go or not guaranteeing him a little bit more? No. Which is weird because Pep's not the kind of guy that's going to guarantee anybody anything probably, unless it's Haaland. But two, what are your thoughts also on a former Manchester City player, Raheem Sterling, scoring the goal? And he did celebrate. He acted like he didn't celebrate.
He tried, yeah.
He like went to the corner flag and then he realized it and then he kind of stopped. But it's like you ran all the way to the corner flag and everybody went to go and celebrate with you. How does he feel?
Well, the first part of the question was, does Pep regret it? I'd say no, because I don't think Pep's the type of person to really regret any of that stuff. And he moved him. They got Doku, who I think is an upgrade. Doku's unreal, and they're still top of the league, so I don't think he regrets it too much. And the irony in terms of Sterling scoring. Oh, if you think between Sterling and Cole Palmer, both of them scoring, and both of them, to your point, celebrated but didn't. Like Cole Palmer stood there and kind of looked at the fans where he tried to not celebrate. I was actually surprised to see Sterling even think about that, because to me, Sterling is more of a Liverpool player than he is a City player. I think he was at City longer, but it was at Liverpool first and when he was younger. Because at some point, if you keep moving teams and you stay in the same league, that means you couldn't celebrate a quarter of your goals, you know? But it was still a great game. And I think Sterling is slowly starting to get back to what he was at City. But still missed out somehow on the England call-up, which I thought was weird.
I actually think Sterling is one of the best. I forgot to mention along Gallagher and Palmer, Sterling has been one of the best players for Chelsea so far. And even in, I don't want to say the whole entire Premier League, but this season he's completely different to what he was the past few years now. Where when he first went to Manchester City after Liverpool, he had one or two good seasons, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, this is like a new player. He can finish now." Where the problem was his finishing. Mm-hmm. One season he had really good scoring wise, and then he kind of dropped off, and then he got moved on, and then now he's kind of coming back to his own again at Chelsea. And again, Pochettino, I think is.
I think he has a little bit more breathing room. So like when you're playing in Manchester City, not only are you under immense pressure to get results and win every single game, but at the same time you are fixed to a certain position and certain roles in that position because of Pep, that I think Sterling probably at some point it was difficult for him to be able to play the way that he wanted to play, or to be able to get to the best of his ability. Whereas Chelsea, he's got a little bit more breathing room because, first of all, they were shambles not too long ago. And he's just been playing with a little bit more freedom. He's not so fixed to one role in his position. So he's been playing well. I thought the Arsenal game, he played very, very well.
Yeah. How much do you think that weighs on people on City? Because obviously Pep instills so much into their brains. Like, how much do you think that weighs on them when they go out there every weekend in terms of just going out and playing, or going out and then remembering the 97 bullet points that I have to make sure that I do throughout the game?
When you think about it, all the players that were at City won the Premier League or Champions League and then move on like within a year. Mm-hmm. There's a good amount of players that just like come and go. Cancelo in and out. You have Jesus in and out. You like all these like Zinchenko. Yeah. Like, and that, I think that's what makes Pep really good is he doesn't care what you've done in the past. He's like, I want to move forward. Mm-hmm. I want to make sure my team is ready to go. And it keeps everybody on their toes because you're bringing in new players. They're going to fight for a spot. And if you stay there long enough, I think it becomes a little bit more stagnant of like, it's not that you don't want it anymore, but I think you reach your limit with Pep and then you have to move on. that's why so many of them are moving on and going to different places. But then he's still able to bring in players that can fill in their role and improve the team overall and still challenge for titles. So I think it's a good thing in terms of a coach and for Pep. It's a weird thing for a player because obviously you want to stay in Manchester City because they're one of the best in the world, but you also want to be given the freedom to express yourself and be the player that you are. So it's kind of like, I wonder if all those players leaving, if they have any regrets of leaving.
Like, man, I should have just stayed, even though it was super hard and difficult and so demanding. Man,
it's tough.
I should have stayed.
I mean, I think Sterling's in a better place now compared to individually as a player.
Yeah.
Do you think he says that though? Because now he's not on the England team. Yeah. Doesn't look like he's going to get added back to it anytime soon.
Yeah, but if he keeps playing the way he's playing now. I think it depends on each player. Some players go somewhere else and then they have better, like Sterling's a perfect example, right? Manchester City he didn't do bad. He had good moments. He had very good moments.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's not based on what your previous moments are. It's so demanding mentally. I've seen a lot of interviews with the players, and they say it's so demanding mentally of having to always be switched on at training and games and everything. Like Pep doesn't give you a second to just kind of zone out. Yeah. So I wonder if some of those types of players that require a little bit more or want a little bit more freedom, it's probably just not the best fit for them.
That makes sense.
But the next player I want to talk about is Nicholas Jackson. Man's been scoring goals, and listen, he scored 3 goals against Tottenham, which it almost like you don't want to count those goals because at a certain point it's like
standing at half.
Yeah, it's like anybody could score those goals at that point, right? But he has been playing pretty well. He's been a good target striker for Chelsea,
and that's what Chelsea are lacking, goals.
Yeah,
like everything else is pretty good. You just can't break down teams that play in the low block and teams that they're supposed to be beating. So the confidence goes a long way. As a striker, especially. I mean, you play striker. Like you score 1 goal, your confidence is through the roof. Like you might not score for 5 games, and the one time it clicks. And maybe that was the breakout game against Spurs. Might be tap-ins, but you live off of that. So, and now here we go. He's scoring pretty much the biggest game of the season for Chelsea at home to Manchester City, best team in the Premier League. So. It's just confidence through the roof now.
I think you mentioned this, Joe, where you said that Chelsea would probably... Was that you that mentioned that Chelsea would probably be very good once Nkunku comes back?
Yeah, we were talking about that a few weeks ago, which now he's looking a lot better, Nicholas Jackson. He reminds me very much of Darwin in terms of he works well for the team. He gets himself into really good positions.
I do like Jackson a lot.
And struggles with that final finish, which... If now he has the confidence, if he's finally settled, if he's starting to get acclimated to Pochettino and the rest of the team, great. And he's probably also feeling the pressure of, if I don't continue to deliver results, once Nkunku is fully fit, they spend a bunch of money on him and he's going to take my spot. So he might also be putting in a little bit extra just to make sure he can stay on the field. So I've been impressed with him, which sucks because I hate watching Chelsea do well. But they are quickly figuring things out, and if he can continue to score goals, and Nkunku comes back, and Sterling does what he's doing, and Cole Palmer continues to do it, and so does Gallagher, they're going to be a very dangerous team for the remainder of the season.
I think they're finally figuring it out a little bit, aren't they, Chelsea?
But
you have the players. Yeah, you got the players. So that's not the question.
Well, last week, right? We talked about 2 weeks ago, wherever it was in the podcast.
Against who was it? Against the team that they were supposed to beat?
Was it Brentford? All of us predicted they're going to win 3-4-0 or whatever it was.
Who was it?
We put in the predictions.
Let me look it up. But it was the Tottenham game was last week, right?
Yeah.
So it's Tottenham and then Manchester City.
It's either Brentford or Forest.
Both pretty good performances.
It was Brentford. I think it was Forest.
Yeah, it might have been Forest.
You're looking it up, Javi. I'm trying to pull it up too.
Where they lost 2-0 or 3-0, whatever it was.
Let's see. 2-0 against Brentford.
Yeah. So and I know that happened 2 weeks ago, but it's hard to say forget the Spurs result just because you can't really forget it. But 2 red cards and Spurs. I'm not going to get into what Spurs were doing, but 2 red cards and you win a game like that. So and then,
but they still go. They still go to the locker room happy because they got 3 points against Tottenham, who hadn't lost at that point.
The top of the table. The only team to beat them.
So regardless,
and it was
they got the job done.
But again, we talked about it here. Against good teams, I think they're going to perform. Yeah. Against Man City, they're going to do well. Against Spurs, they're going to do well. The Brentfords, the mid-table teams, the other teams like that, where it's a completely different game. Man City's going to attack and have possession most of the time. Chelsea caught them on the counter. They have the legs, they have the players, technical ability, the speed with Sterling. They have all that you can counter. What are you going to do when a team like Brentford just sits in and they counter you? I think that's been the how do you figure that out as Chelsea?
I think that's going to continue to come over time as they get used to the system and to each other. You know, you have so many players that, if you think about it in terms of competitive matches, have played how many times together. That I think a lot of that, when you're trying to break teams down, you have to, because their space is so tight, you have to know where people are supposed to be and when they're going to be there to time it perfectly. But in the open field, it kind of going back to like, are you playing more free or are you kind of playing through a system? When you're counterattacking, you're as free as you need to be out there, and you can really just use your own creativity and go. And I think that's why they're able to find things that way. But I think that they will. Sadly, I think they're going to figure it out because they continue. I think they're getting close and better.
They have the players. That's the thing. If you look at it, they have. I mean, I honestly think that when they do finally find their form, they probably have the best pairing in the central midfield, which is Enzo and Caicedo.
Speaking of Caicedo, he had a nightmare of a game.
He did have a nightmare, but those two guys together, very good. And then you have all those players in front of them.
I'm a huge Enzo fan.
I think they're trying to figure. I mean, their last 5 games, they got 2 draws, 2 wins, and 1 loss. The 1 loss is against Brentford. 2 wins against, I think it was the FA Cup, was it? Against Blackburn. Tottenham, they beat 4-1. Manchester City, they drew 4-4. And Arsenal, they drew 2-2. So I think they're much better than they were.
The previous 5.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we now? 11 games into the season? 10 games or
12 games into the season, Chelsea sits in 10th place. So which is just kind of crazy because this is the next thing I wanted to bring up is we talk so badly about Manchester United.
we were just talking about that before.
So badly about Manchester United, right? And one of the guys that I coach with, Dennis at the Hawks, he's a Manchester United fan. So I told him, I was like, Dennis, we got to bring you on because you got to defend Manchester United. Somebody's got to defend Manchester United. However, this is the crazy part. We're talking about Chelsea looking good, finding their form. Chelsea's in 10th place, and Manchester United is in 6th place. So Manchester United is only behind Aston Villa, Tottenham, Arsenal, Liverpool, and City.
It's fun. We were talking about that before you showed up, and we mentioned a few things. One, Manchester United over the past 5 games, like if that was its own standalone table, they'd be top because a lot of other teams have dropped points, so there's some in that. Also, though, the weird thing, if you look at their schedule, they've only played teams in like the bottom 5 or in the top 5. That they truly haven't played any of the teams that they're supposed to beat, but it's going to be a difficult game. So I'm interested to see how the next few weeks come because they beat Luton 1-0, they beat Fulham 1-0, and they're scraping by and getting wins.
Yeah.
Can they continue to scrape by and get wins when the competition increases? And I mean, you don't talk about a team that's struggling to find chances and score goals. Watching their games is painful.
Yeah, 1-0 against Luton at home.
But that's the thing. that I feel like that's the main, like, I don't think they figured anything out. I know it looks good right now, but sometimes
I'm saying we talk so badly about them, but they're actually in 6th place, so they're not doing terribly.
Yeah, they're not doing terrible, but I think that,
which is crazy because again, we talked about like Chelsea's doing better. We talk how well do we talk about Newcastle?
Yeah,
and they are above Newcastle in the table.
Yeah,
that'll change soon, I think, because Newcastle's in free fall mode.
Really?
I think between injuries.
Europa League.
It's really interesting to see these teams that, like Brighton, is a prime example. Got out of the gates doing amazing. Oh man, are they going to be a top 4 team? The second Europe hit, they can't get points.
Yeah,
Europa League playing on Thursday stuff.
Yeah.
Newcastle playing the Champions League, but like Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever that stuff. But Brighton playing in the Europa League with their squad not being as big as some of the other teams.
I always wonder if you just throw away the competition. Do you? If you're a team like Newcastle, for example, so you get Champions League, right? If you're a team like Newcastle, and you know you're not going to win the Champions League, Do you just throw it away?
No.
And you just say, okay, we'll give some of those games to we'll rest our players a little bit more in the Champions League only because we know how well we can do in the Premier League, or do you just suffer?
If they get out of that group they're in, I don't see why they couldn't win the Champions League. That's the first thing. Because
Newcastle's not winning the Champions League.
Look at the group they're in between PSG, Dortmund, and AC Milan. If they can get out of that group,
they're not about getting, right?
They're not going to get out of the group now. But it's a mixture of injuries. Yeah. The reason why I somewhat say that, if you really think about the Champions League, if you can win your games at home and just get draws away, I know that's easier said than done. You can very easily go far, and they are unbelievable at home. The reason why they're doing so bad is because I feel like they dropped, was it to Dortmund? When they lost to Dortmund at home, that was the killer for them. Because when they played PSG fully fit, both teams were fully fit,
there's only 3 points separating the first and the fourth place in that group.
And there's 2 games left.
So they can they can do it if they win their next couple games. Obviously, it's a lot.
Are they home? Do you know if they're home or away?
Let's find out.
Next one is away because they're just home to Dortmund.
But I think if that, to your point, I think some of these teams should throw away some of the other competitions.
You throw away Europa League, you don't throw away Champions League.
Yeah, because there's a lot of money for getting out of the group still, isn't there?
Why would you throw it away anyway? Because you're not going to win the Premier League. Saying the whole point of you doing well in the Premier League is to get into the Champions League. Yeah. So now you're throwing away the Champions League.
No, that's what I'm saying. Champions League you would never throw away.
Europa League, you would?
Europa League, yes. Europa League.
Really?
I mean,
see, I would almost argue it.
Mourinho doesn't throw it away.
Mourinho doesn't throw it away. Yeah,
it's also if they were in the Europa League, they could play more of the younger players and still have a chance to win. They have to put their best 11 out when they play against Dortmund, PSG, or
it just
AC
depends,
Milan.
though. It depends. Like for example, if you're talking about Brian, you throw Europa League away.
Really?
Because you're trying to get into the top 4. That's your
or you're trying to win Europa League, or you're trying to win Europa League and saying that's my best chance to Champions League next season because they're not going to finish top 4.
That's true. You could see it both ways, but I could see why Georgie's saying it because you're saying if you really focus and we can get top 4 in the Premier League, then we can go into Champions League. But at the same time, they do have a pretty good chance of getting very far in the Europa League because all of the teams that they're competing against in the Premier League are in the Champions League.
I could see United this year
going into Europa League.
They're gonna go into it.
I don't know. They might finish last.
Oh, if you finish last, you don't go?
No, you got to finish 3rd.
For real?
Yep.
I thought it was every team that didn't advance went.
No,
for real.
3rd place.
I didn't know that.
3rd in the group.
Is Copenhagen's gonna go to Europa League, and United's gonna bounce out of all of Europe, which honestly might not be the worst thing for them.
In the Premier League.
Maybe. But it'll be.
All right, let's talk about the refereeing. I wanted to bring up this point. The refereeing has been shambles. I mean, but this is stemming from even the past couple weeks and stuff like that. There's no real big incident in the last match week that we sit here. We didn't. I mean, we talked about the Chelsea and Tottenham after it happened and everything. But I didn't know that Anthony Taylor got demoted to the championship, right? Yep.
Wasn't he back till this past weekend?
Isn't this the dumbest thing ever? Everybody's making he's got demoted to the champions. He's been punished, and so I'm thinking that the man's going down there for the whole season.
That's what I thought.
You're going down. So one match week they give him a game in the championship, and then he comes back and does Manchester City versus Chelsea.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. You could have just given him the day off. If people would have said, "Oh yeah, we're just going to give him the weekend off," people were like, "That's it." Oh, okay. Sorry, we're demoting him we're going to make him work. We're just demoting him to the championship.
Now that you say that, I didn't even think about it. That was
Isn't that unbelievable.
You're right. Yeah. That actually, unbelievable is the best word for it.
They never reached out to me. They should have reached out to me. They should have reached out to me.
That's not a demotion either. That's more of a temporary suspension. A demotion is this is your new title.
It's not even a suspension, right?
No, it's not.
It's honestly, they should have done it at least if they would have said for the next 2 months or the next month. Okay, fair enough. But nobody said it was just one game. Everybody's like, "Oh, he's been demoted." All the headlines demoted to the championship. Yeah. It's dude, it was just one weekend, and then he comes back and he does.
He must have reffed amazing down in the championship and got promoted immediately.
I wonder how early or how late they assign the referees for these Premier League matches. How much in advance? Is it a week of?
It's usually 4 days. Yeah, 4 or so days.
What that tells me is that they don't have anyone else.
They have a couple guys.
So think about and it also to me says that they just demoted him for for the PR standpoint, and that was it, not for 100%. Anything.
Who is the? There's a really buff guy. Who's the really buff guy? You know what I'm talking about?
No.
He literally looks like an army sergeant.
The only one I think of is Howard Webb, but he's
no.
Anymore,
so there's Michael Oliver. Everybody knows Michael Oliver. Yeah, I like Michael Oliver. I think Michael Oliver's actually pretty good.
For real?
Yeah.
Gosh.
Craig Pawson, Anthony Taylor, Paul Tierney. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to find the guy who's. I'm trying to find. There's one guy specifically who's like jacked.
In the Premier League?
He might be up and
Maybe
down.
he's Champions League.
I was gonna say it might be because I think there's a big one in the Italian league.
I think it's a La Liga. There's a buck.
No, but I've seen him before, so it must be. It must be Champions. No. He's got like a short haircut, literally looks like a military sergeant.
Are you talking about the guy from Argentina?
Jack. No, he's not Argentinian. I'll look him up and I'll find him for the next podcast.
Please
but he's like absolutely massive. And I liked him. I can't remember, but he must not be in the Premier League. He must be in.
Just put a picture of him in here at some point. So
I'll put a picture of him.
He must not be. He's not in the Premier League.
There's got to be more referees. By the way, I want to clarify my comments. I did get some people who were like, "Oh, you can't referee a Premier League match." Listen, I said it in the last podcast. I was like, I really do think I can referee a Premier League match.
You had to get a week to get your fitness right, I think is what you said.
Fitness, that's the easy part. That's it, because I'm young. I'm still young. I could give me 2 weeks and I'll be able to run around as much as a Premier League referee who's, how old are these guys? 40, 41, 42? I can still do it.
I would assume, yeah.
Okay. But here's the thing is I'm not talking about the average person. The reason why I feel like I can do it is because like I've been exposed to the game at pretty high levels. I'm not like some just random dude who's just like, oh, I can do this. I've watched the game before. Like obviously I coached the DCFC and I used to referee those like the 3-team tournaments and stuff like that. I don't think anybody
with a lot of great positive feedback on how you did that.
I'm just saying
the 3v3 games he struggles with at DCFC, but I can go to England and do the same thing.
The moment you say I can referee a Premier League match, people think I'm saying that anyone can do it. I'm not saying anyone can do it.
So what you're saying is, I do believe. So what Javi? Just to clarify, everybody, Javi's saying he's better than the average human being.
Absolutely, absolutely. I really do think so. I think personality. I would have to get myself into that mental state of like, do not take shit from anyone, and like, let's go.
No, that's the worst way to look at it.
No.
You're supposed to take some shit.
No. I'm just saying like, I'm not saying don't talk to the players or like be an asshole. I'm just saying stand up for the decisions that you're going to make.
Will you? If we can figure out a way for you to do
Premier League?
We're not in the Premier League.
Tell them to give me a call.
I don't think I mean, trust me, they have refs that completely botch full and total games.
And I'm just saying
I think we could get you something.
Saying one game.
I don't know the Premier League. We could get you something.
Give me anything.
Men's Open game.
Give me a Sunday league. Those are even harder. Have you ever done Mexican League in Southwest Detroit? That's harder than the Premier League. Refereeing a game in Mexican town, Southwest Detroit, is harder than refereeing a Premier League match. Because you're not safe. You are not safe.
You also don't have VAR.
Absolutely. That's why it's harder. That's why it's harder.
I mean,
and speaking of this is the funniest part. So Georgie goes into the comment section so we cut these clips into our Instagram, right? All of our social media, TikTok, Instagram, I have a Facebook now. All of it is at the NGW podcast. If anybody wants to
give all of them a follow down below.
Go ahead and follow them.
But
anyway,
need to follow the Facebook.
I cut the clips and I post them on there, right? I cut the clip about Georgie's attitude in the 3-team tournament days and how he corrupts everyone and how he was the biggest asshole. How he was biggest asshole in those.
Let him tell his story, George.
And Georgie goes and comments, tagging one of the. Who'd you tag? Who was it?
Benny.
I did.
Tagging Benny. It's like, Benny, come on, tell them that I'm telling the truth here. That I was not actually like that. Benny defends you.
Damn right.
Which I don't understand why.
Moises defends me.
I don't think Moy just talks shit about me. He didn't defend you. He just went
defending me.
That's all Georgie does.
But he didn't defend you. But then Georgie had like 4 or 5 people who were like, I actually was there when Georgie stormed off.
Listen,
you stormed off. You took your. I'm taking my ball and I'm going home.
Let me tell you, I DM'd those people. I
you got your posse together?
No. I messaged the people that I knew were gonna go against me because they were there. So I messaged them. I DM'd them on Instagram. I sent them the story just so they can go and comment.
Can we tell the story? Can we tell the story? Can we tell the story of Georgie storming off?
Oh, at Liquid Football?
Yeah, Georgie was about to fight me.
Oh, this is at Liquid Football.
This is last year. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we're at Liquid Football Training.
Wasn't he your
right?
coach and club owner?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, that makes sense.
Georgie's also
You're going to fight him?
Georgie's also
I was
the
going to fight him. But I was pissed.
So
there's reasons for this.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you my
Okay.
side of the story, and I think it's a pretty unbiased side of the story. Georgie was in a bad mood already coming into the training session. He cannot deny this. He was already in a bad mood for various reasons, but he was in a bad. Let's just say he was not in the greatest mindset going into that training session already. Again, it's a fun training session. Same thing. 3-team tournament, invasion game, the same thing. I already know what he's like when he's in a good mood going into these. So then he's already upset about it.
You know it's going to be the best. You got someone to deal with.
Best part, as club owner and head coach, I elected not to referee this one. I got one of our guys who was our media guy, Jimmy. He loves soccer. He had a referee jersey in his car, whistle and everything. So he's like, I'll bring my referee jersey in. So he comes and referees in a full referee outfit and starts refereeing all of this. Poor Jimmy. He's a great guy. Absolutely love him.
Yep. Quit that day because of him.
Absolutely, yeah. He is not like, he thought it was going to be a fun time, right?
No. That's the second time
He's all excited. He's getting his shirt on at his car. I'm so excited to be on the field with these guys.
Second time he's done it, but the first time was okay. Like it went okay. There was a couple of interesting calls, but again, everybody, it was like a fun day. Second day was just like everything that was coming together was not going well. Poor Jimmy just was not standing up for the calls because he's trying to like listen to everybody's perspective. Like this guy saying, "Oh, this is why it wasn't a call. This is why it wasn't a call." Georgie starts going after Jimmy. Poor Jimmy, man. Georgie just starts ripping him apart and everything.
That's true.
I am with my assistant coaches, so I have like 3 coaches with me, and we're hanging out on the side because there's no coaching during this day. This is just a fun day. Let them kind of touch the ball a little bit.
One ref and they'll figure it out.
I'm like sitting on the water cooler, just hanging out, and we're dying on the sidelines at Georgie.
Literally, like as I'm. That's your story. Go ahead.
We're laughing. And
you get loud,
should I have been
loud.
laughing? Should I have been laughing and stuff when Georgie was pissed? Absolutely. We should have. Absolutely. It was a great time. So I'm over here like laughing at Georgie, laughing at Jimmy because like clearly it's not going well. and here's the other thing. Georgie's the only player on that team with professional experience, like who played at that level. Cyrus never trained, so he was never there, right?
Yeah.
And some of the other guys weren't there. So Georgie's not just played at a higher level, but like a much higher level than most of these guys have ever played.
Right.
So they don't take this as seriously as Georgie. So
they're like, dude, it's just practice.
Yeah. So like Jimmy makes calls and they kind of yell and bitch a little bit, but Georgie doesn't let it go. So he keeps going. We're on the sideline, and the game is over. So Jimmy blows the whistle. There's like one game left, but that little mini game is over.
Right.
So we're getting ready to transition, and Georgie just like, I could tell he just storms off the field. He takes off his bib. He's like, fuck this, I'm done. And so he's walking off. And from my perspective, here's the thing, right? From my perspective, I have to like...
Now you got to discipline Georgie.
Not necessarily discipline him, but it's like, Georgie, you can't just walk. You're the captain of the team. You can't just walk off and like leave. I mean, yeah, he's most experienced, right? So he's the captain of the team.
There, but never.
Anyway... It's like kind of one of those where it's like, Georgie, don't be a dick, man. Like you're gonna set a bad example for the rest of the team if you storm off right now as the captain storming off. But Georgie was like, he was gone. There was no bringing him back.
He did not care at all.
There was no bringing him back.
I did not give a crap at that
but
point.
here's the thing, I didn't say anything to Georgie. I was laughing with the coaches about the calls and stuff. And when he came off, I was like, Georgie, like just like I don't know. I must have said like, stop being so dramatic or something like that. Georgie starts having to go at me, and like not holding back at all.
Oh no, I wasn't.
And he's like, fuck you, Javi. Like we're gonna have to bleep all this out. But I think by the way, when I set the captions, they bleep it out automatically. So that's pretty good algorithm, by the way. Like TikTok and Instagram bleeps it out like automatically.
So you don't have to.
I don't even have to rewrite the captions or anything. Anyway, back to the story. So I'll just say it anyway. It doesn't matter. And he just literally goes at me. He's like, no, fuck you. You guys are over here fucking laughing. It's a fucking joke. Fuck this, whatever, right? And the rest of the coaches are all like this. I felt bad because I'm like, okay, Georgie and I are good friends.
Right.
He can have a go at me and I can have a go at him because we know at the end of the day, like, we'll be fine.
It's all love.
We'll be all right.
Matter, right.
Yeah. But don't go at the coaches, man. They're poor guys are volunteering here, and they haven't done a single thing other than just like be with me while we're
just follow your lead last night, Georgie. And next thing you know, they're getting attacked by the captain. Like,
not
what
only
the
is he attacking me, but he's like, fuck you and all you guys don't fucking do shit. You guys are over here just fucking laughing, blah 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 blah. And so as he started,
I don't know if I said everyone else. I was definitely
no. He did. He definitely said all you guys. He definitely said all you guys.
Don't you record your training sessions?
We didn't. We should have recorded that one. I would have posted it all over social media. Absolutely.
That would have been funny.
And and so I was like, you know what, Georgie, get the fuck out of here. I was like, get the fuck out of here. So I started going back at him, but I wasn't like going back at him. Like I didn't even get up. I was still sitting on the fucking water cooler. I was just sitting down.
At this point, I was like halfway across the field.
He was halfway across the field.
I was going through a parking lot, so I'm like yelling. He's yelling.
But you know what the funniest part is? Georgie's walking off and he's like, I'm fucking done. I'm done. Like he was acting like he was retiring.
He was quitting from.
Yeah. So, and I'm just like, and I even said to him, I was, fuck you, Georgie. Get the fuck out of here. Don't come back. Don't come back. He's like, I'm not fucking coming back. He walks off and I look over at my assistant coach. I was like, he'll be back. He'll be back. And sure enough, I waited a couple days. I didn't want to like reach out to him the next day or the same day. And I wasn't like the coach was like, should we go get him? Should we have somebody talk to him? I was like, no, just let him go. Like the guy's he needs his own time. Right? Yeah. So I think I waited like 4 or 5 days. I think we had a break after that anyway. So it was probably good timing. But he was fine afterwards. We were fine. It was
all
like,
over.
But like you should have seen him
put together to make it fun for the players.
Okay,
there's been very few times where I've seen Georgie actually like pissed off.
No, okay, I will admit I called Jimmy, by the way, and I apologized to him right away because I was like, Jimmy, it's not about you.
It's about Javi, and he sucks.
I had to apologize to Jimmy first.
Well, yeah,
I knew he was going to do it.
I'm sorry for my friend.
I knew he was going to do it.
Sorry for my friend, guys.
But I did tell Jimmy right away. I was like, hey, Jimmy, just want you to know, like, this has nothing to do with you. Because Jimmy was like, damn,
Georgie has his own inner demons.
Well, he done it in his head, like, it was because of my refereeing performance that Georgie started. And I was like, Jimmy, this has nothing to do with you.
Jimmy, do you watch this podcast? I knew Georgie, it's not you.
And I knew Georgie was gonna apologize to him anyway. Yo. No, baby, I'm good.
You don't say thank you for that?
Yeah. Thank you, mama.
So then,
baby mama. By the way, baby mama just asked me if I wanted dinner.
That's how you know.
Why did I say no? Fuck. Brittany.
Too late.
I'm gonna text her. I don't know why. Why did I say no?
That ship has sailed, my friend.
So,
all right, go ahead.
I did have a bad day going to it, but before we go into that game, we do the invasion.
You guys
game.
are the best.
That's what set me up. We did the invasion game. This guy, I know for a fact that this will trigger me the most. So many calls went against my team on purpose, and he would die laughing. Yeah. He usually does that. And then the invasion game, he even admits it. And he knows how I get. Like, I'm competitive. I can't just play for, like, that's one thing about me. I can't just play for fun. Like, if I go play, I'm going to play to, like, win 100%. Like, there's no, it's either I'm not going to play or I'm just going to go 100%. Like, I can't.
You'd rather just,
I would rather
you know yourself, like, I'm not showing up if this is just a family pickup game because I will try and hurt grandma.
I hate the in-between part. So that's why when I play in these leagues, I'm like, a lot of people ask me, I'm like, no, I don't want to play because I take it serious. Anyway.
I feel bad for the 38-year-olds you're about to play here in an hour.
I know. There, I try to take it easy. But, for example, like, that I didn't have a good day, and then that set me off because I know for a fact he was making calls just for the hell of it against me. Like,
were you?
Yeah, no. But here's the thing: I wasn't refereeing.
No. Jimmy the invasion game. No. I'm talking about the invasion game.
I don't even think I was refereeing.
You were refereeing, and you were laughing every single time I.
Are you sure Jimmy wasn't refereeing the invasion game?
He doesn't know the invasion game. He went to get his stuff done. So, like, I know for Bo wouldn't be out of bounds. He'd be like minus points and then make us run more, whatever. So, like, I was already like, this is BS. Like, I'm already like getting fired up. We go to the game. I just try, I walk towards the game, and I'm just like, because, between the invasion game and the three-team tournament, there's a little break. Mm-hmm. So I try to walk away on my own a little bit. I'm like, all right.
Calm yourself down, meditate in the corner.
It is what it is. Like, just let it be.
Woosah, deep breaths.
We play. My team isn't doing good. I don't even, whoever was my team, we were not doing good. So that was the first problem. Jimmy is not an actual, well, he might be a referee. I don't even know if he is. What set me off the most, there was a lot of calls that were like, but Jimmy will listen, again, just be like the middle guy, try to listen to people. As a ref, you can't do that because it really pisses me off from my experience with him.
Yeah.
But there's one call that really pissed me off. The ball's going over the guy's head. He picks it up, puts it in the ground, He's like, I didn't want to go chase it. And we kept playing. And I was like, fuck this, I'm done. So at that point, I just started walking off. And then he gave a penalty for their team. It was a whole crazy thing. So I was like, F this, I'm done. I'm not doing this shit. I can't fucking do it. Yeah. And then the rest of it happened.
Yeah. Listen, was I purposely, like during the invasion game, was I purposely trying to make sure every single call was perfectly right? Probably not. I was having a good time. So I was just like, I'll call this, I'll call that. I wasn't like purposely trying to screw him over like he thinks. I wasn't like, I'm going to make calls only so Georgie's team gets screwed. I was just like, dude, I don't really care. Like, I'll give this team a point for that. I'll give this team whatever. It's not a big deal. But, yeah.
No, the picking up and putting it down, that was like, because
But here's the thing, though. It's like Georgie, I get that you're like this. I get you're like this. But yes, there are times where Georgie just needs to just chill and have a good time. Like, dude, nobody's gonna win a World Cup today. Nobody's gonna lose a World Cup today. Like, I get it if like over the course of a season, if I told Georgie I need you to play for Liquid Football, and it's just gonna be like a team just to mess around, I'd understand if he was like no. But we took training and everything pretty damn serious. We did a really good job for the environment and everything. And like every once in a while, it's okay to have a training session where you're just kind of having a good time and taking the piss.
Yeah.
Right? And Georgie, unfortunately, that one day that we chose to do that, Georgie was not in the best of spirits.
Well, it goes back to the whole Pep Guardiola thing. Sounds like you would do really well at Manchester City.
But
because they're not allowed to have fun, and you don't like fun.
It's not about the fun. See, my fun is different to other people's fun.
Fun's yelling at Javi?
Well, that too.
Scolding Javi
But
in front
my
of large
fun
groups of people.
Is like
Jimmy,
winning.
Yelling at Jimmy.
Like, no, I felt bad for Jimmy. I called Jimmy the next morning. I was like, I'm sorry. I even texted him WhatsApp. My fun is like winning.
You're winning.
My fun is like working my ass off and then winning. That's the only way I can do it. At DCFC, I don't like.
It's actually funny because that means you two are the exact opposite. Javi likes to go out there and score as many goals with the least amount of effort possible.
Here's the thing: I retired early, so I never had the exact same approach to the game that Georgie did. Because if I did, I probably would have still been playing.
You would have kept going,
right? But I didn't. The only thing that disappointed me about the whole thing was that like Georgie kind of went at the staff, and that's the part that upset me a little bit because I was like, Georgie, you can have a go at me, but it was the fact that like. These guys are volunteers, right?
I don't think
not even the staff. They're literally volunteers.
I don't think I went to the staff because
they are here choosing to not be with their family to get yelled at by Georgie.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Jimmy, yes, because he's the ref. Yes.
Yeah.
Jimmy, I went at. I went at. Yes. I don't think I went at Pedro Kareem. Kareem's still like...
You didn't go at them directly. Like, you didn't say, like, Pedro, you're doing this, and Kareem, you're doing this.
Because Pedro texted me, he's like, hey, want to talk? Like, literally, he messaged me right, like, as I was
he grouped us together. Right? He comes off
and
he's like, you guys are all fucking laughing and stuff. And I was like, whoa. I was like, come at me, Georgie. Come at me. Laughing. And then the other thing was, obviously, it puts me in a weird spot, right? Because it's like, he's the captain of the team. He also co-owns the team. And it's like, and then he went and had a go at me. So like, how do I react?
Did you strip him of his captaincy after?
I took it straight away. I gave it to our worst player.
That's what Arteta would have done.
You're not going to name?
No, like, it was okay in the end. Because like, if anybody else other than Georgie does that, like, gone. Right, like some of the other guys on the team, if they would have done that, I would have been like, dude, don't come back. You're not coming back.
Right.
Because Georgie and I have a good friendship, and because he's got the most experience on the team, and he was such a valuable player, I think even the other players, not only did they think it was okay for him to do that, but almost like they kind of respected it a little bit because they're like, damn, this guy takes this shit seriously. Like we should probably start taking this thing a little bit more serious.
In terms of the
right,
because it's not like what he was yelling about was complaint. He was. You were kind of complaining.
I know. I complained.
But you wanted the standard here, and it was here, and you weren't open to it, which I could understand.
If it would have been one of the other players on the team that was like pretty mediocre or something like that, I would have been like, dude, chill out. Yeah. But it was funny. It was funny because like the funniest part is the coaching staff is like frozen because this is literally just happening, and they're all looking at me like, what do we do? Do we run and grab him? Like this is, like when you're in the middle of an awkward situation that you're not directly a part of, so you just kind of keep your head
stare at the ground and hope it ends.
Yeah. That's how they were, and I was like super chill about it. I told the guys, I was like, guys, chill. He'll be back. He'll be back tomorrow. Don't worry. He doesn't actually mean that he's like done and all this other stuff. Like he co-owns the team. Like what is he gonna do? What is he gonna do?
Good times.
But it was fun. It was fun times. This is like I also told the guys like,
I cannot play for fun, so don't ever ask me to play for fun.
I mean, right? I told the guys, I was like, look, me and Georgie have been friends a long time. It's gonna be okay. It's not a big deal. He's gotten upset before.
Damn. I wish I would have played on this team just so I could have been there for that.
That was a great moment.
Don't worry, play next year. Maybe
Maybe
It'll probably happen again. Just let me know whenever you guys are having fun practices. And
you know the funny thing.
I'll bring the cameras. I'll bring the whole crew.
A day before the game,
I'll do a live podcast on the side. We'll be placing prop bets on what time in the practice is Georgie storming off.
You have.
I was this close to like trying to make a joke out of it to see if I could get Georgie to smile and like laugh about it, because he's one of those people, you know him well, Joe. Like he's one of those people, like even when he's pissed, you want to see if you can get him to crack a little bit. Because he will
laugh if it.
And I was like, should I push his buttons and see if I can get him to crack a little bit? And I was like, nah, I don't want to. Just let him go. He was pissed off. Yeah.
Good times.
Great times. Great times.
It's a good story. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, what else we got? What else we have?
The only other thing I was thinking of talking about, I don't know if you guys have watched Bayer Leverkusen at all.
Oh, I have Xabi Alonso.
I watched his training clips of him pinging balls out wide. Yeah.
Dude, he is. I watched them for the first time this weekend. They're exciting.
Tiki taka.
They are exciting to watch. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out like why are they so good? Because it's not one or two things, but they are incredible to watch.
I think when you look at like ex players that go into coaching, he'll be on like top of the list of like, he's gonna be a pretty good coach.
Yeah, you can tell right away some of those players that are gonna end up being good coaches.
Just the brain. His brain is.
Think of all the coaches he played for. He played with Xavi and Iniesta, but from a coaching standpoint, he played under Rafa Benitez, Carlo Ancelotti, Pep, and Jose Mourinho.
Did he play with Zidane? He must have. Zinedine Zidane must have been there when Xabi Alonso was still playing.
At Real Madrid?
Yeah. Right?
Maybe.
Was that before?
No, because did you watch the Beckham documentary yet? Because Beckham was the last player
of that
group of Ronaldo, Zidane, Figo, and all of them to remain. And I don't think he ever played. He would have been playing with Liverpool then still.
No. But he was coached by Zidane is what I'm saying. No? When Zinedine Zidane coached at Real Madrid, was Xabi Alonso not there?
Because Xabi Alonso, I think he went Liverpool, Real, Bayern, right?
Yeah.
So he would have been there with Mourinho and Ancelotti, and then because Zidane took over when Ronaldo was there, right? And won a Champions League with them.
3 in a row, yeah, right?
Yep. I'm just saying he was there for quite a while. So I don't know, maybe not, but
maybe he did then.
But you're right.
He's
got a lot of really good coaching and playing with top players.
Yeah, I would love it if Bayer Leverkusen keep up and win the German League.
You know what the craziest part about that whole thing is?
Harry Kane won't win a trophy.
Well, can you imagine?
Oh
my word, funny. Can you imagine? But like, the crazy part about it is that these guys are in their last. So right now they've only played 11 in the Bundesliga, but out of their last 16 games, I think they have 15 wins and 1 draw.
It's incredible.
And so if you're looking at the league table, he's got 10 wins and 1 draw in their first 11 games.
And it draws to Bayern.
And he's still only 2 points ahead of Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
Because they have 9 wins and 2 draws, no losses.
It's crazy.
It just shows you that the one game you play against, the 2 games you play home and away against Bayern or against Dortmund are going to like make or break your season in the Bundesliga.
That's the thing is typically teams, you'll see teams like was it Salzburg?
Yeah, Red Bull.
Yeah, so like they would have good seasons, or Leipzig.
Yeah, Red Bull Leipzig.
They would have good seasons, but they can't hold on through a whole campaign against Bayern Munich.
Yeah, and that's the difference, right? Like,
we'll see if he can.
30 or whatever games, you got to keep up with like being almost without any mistakes.
But he did turn it around though as well. It's not like they were doing well before he got there. He turned it around.
Yeah. They were struggling.
They were doing really bad.
That's crazy.
Shaka.
Last year there.
Maybe that's it.
For sure.
But you think about it. Shaka is a key player in his
system.
So
he is.
It just shows that you buy into the system.
Shows that you get Arsenal players, you're going to have success.
And then he's going to go coach Jude Bellingham next.
You think?
Because Ancelotti's leaving. He's going to.
Yeah, but do you think
Brazil.
he'll get it though?
Yeah, I think it would be. He would probably want the job. The team's set up for a.
I don't know if I would take it. You have plenty of times with Xabi Alonso, like plenty of.
Yeah, but why wouldn't you take it early?
Yeah, take it early. Because if you mess it up, you can come back.
Yeah, I mean, you can do what Zidane did, right? He took it pretty early on without any experience. Like
that was his first coaching job, wasn't it?
Like main.
He was under Ancelotti.
Yeah,
remember that? People forget about that. That he was his assistant for a little bit.
Yeah,
and then he took it over.
That's Xabi Alonso, man, what a guy. What a good player he was, too.
He was. Very underrated, I feel like.
Still is, yeah.
I watched some of those clips. That guy can still ping a ball.
He's good.
You don't forget it. It's crazy.
But Bayern Munich's still going to win the Bundesliga at the end of the day.
I hope not.
Oh.
How long? They've won it, the last 10 or 11 years in a row or something like that?
Yeah, but they didn't have Harry Kane. And he doesn't like to win trophies.
I don't think they won it 10 in a row.
Did Dortmund win it in between?
On their Jurgen Klopp, they won it once.
But that would have been
10 years ago.
About 10 years ago, yeah. So yeah,
crazy.
Have they won since Klopp left? I would assume so.
Dortmund not.
Or I mean Bayern's won every year since Klopp left Bundesliga,
so.
right? Yeah. So this is Klopp's 8th year. Because everyone says after 7 years he leaves, and that was last year for you guys. Yeah.
That's crazy.
All right. Crazy. Well, listen, the reason why this podcast is shorter, and it's not that short, we went for an hour. So we typically go for like an hour and 20, an hour 30. So it's not that much shorter. But the reason why it was shorter is because there was not as much VAR issues this week.
And then we have international break now.
Oh, yeah.
So off for the Premier League games and all the other leagues.
The Next Goal Wins podcast is getting ready for Copa America.
We are.
2024.
We are. Speaking of which, if you have an RV and you want to let us use it all summer, please
reach out to Joe. Reach out to Joe directly.
Yeah, reach out to me directly.
He's the head of marketing and business and strategic partnerships and all of that stuff.
And if you want to come to a city near you, you let us know as well.
Oh, we're doing a tour now. The Next Goal Wins podcast tour.
Yeah.
Okay, dope.
Well, why would we need? We're not going to get an RV and drive around Detroit.
Fantastic.
That's what I thought we're doing.
All right. Tune in next time if you want to hear more stories about Georgie absolutely losing the plot at training. I'm sure I can think of a couple more.
I'm sure there are plenty more in the past. Yeah, it's a decent amount.
All right. Well, we appreciate everyone tuning in. Make sure again once you're done listening to this, or if you're listening to this, check out the Instagram where we cut clips. TikTok, we cut the clips. Facebook, we cut the clips. YouTube, we're doing YouTube Shorts as well. So we're everywhere.
You want to throw the thing? Do you know how to do that? Throw the things on the screen so I can point.
It's just at the NGW podcast.
And Perfect. Twitter. We need to start Twitter up.
We have a Twitter, but we haven't done anything with it. That's your job.
That's my job.
George is a Twitter guy.
I want to be tweeting.
If you see some bad takes on Twitter, it's Georgie tweeting on our account.
Provocative.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening, and we'll catch you in the next one.